Okay, I'm going to do a really quick video telling you guys about a dream I had 20 years ago exactly when I was 17. And I've only told very few people this dream. Um, but I just kind of feel like now's the time for me to tell everybody it's just a dream, so it's not that deep, but just, you know, hear me out and take it for how you want to take it. But, anyways, so I had a dream when I was 17 about the end of the world. I didn't know it was the end of the world at the time because the dream was so weird. But anyways, it started with me at an amusement park with my brother. It was September. It was fall. The dream made it obvious that it was fall or September is what it seemed like. It was kind of rainy that day. I don't know if these things matter, but um, school hadn't started yet, which was odd because it should have started already, but it hadn't. And I remember my friend AJ Mallory showing up and went running off into this warehouse. And so I was following him there, and these gates started kind of coming down as he was going through the warehouse. And eventually he disappeared. I was left uh, in the warehouse, stuck and trapped. And something lifted me out of there and was like, "This place isn't for you." Took me back to where my brother was standing. And I remember there being clowns that were trying to lure people into the woods. Like that stood out in my dream too. So I get back to my brother. My friend AJ comes up and I'm like, "Yo, why would you run into the warehouse like you bugging?" He was like, "Nay, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't run into no warehouse." And I was like, "Yes, you did." So then it was like this weird thought came to me that wasn't AJ. Like it looked like him, but there are entities that are, fooling people to follow them to places and yada yada yada. So I was like, okay, okay. So while we were at this amusement park, we realized that it was everybody on planet Earth all together experiencing what was going on. And I remember seeing celebrities. Wu Tang Clan stood out, particularly Method Man. And I just remember nobody treating them like they were celebrities. It was like we're all going through this at the same time. Nobody was rushing to get autographs, nothing like that. It was just kind of like, oh, shoot, Method Man, what up? And kind of kept it moving, kind of thing. That was the energy. So, next thing you know, a trumpet or just something sounded where everybody just started lining up and going to this train thing. So we get on this train thing. My brother's gone. Now it's my sister and my boyfriend at the time. And I remember not having a seat. And I thought that was kind of weird and scary. And I'm just like, how does everybody on planet Earth have a seat but me? That just made me feel like, okay, what's that about? So I remember my sister taking my hand and my boyfriend at the time, and I'm just kind of like pushing me forward, like, yo, just go in front of everybody and just hold on for dear life to the very, very front, which wasn't really a seat. It was just like a space. And he was like, just hold on to the front of this train. And I'm just like, what do I look like in front of the whole entire planet Earth? Holding on, everybody else got to see that stuck out too. And I was just like, okay. So the train takes off like the speed of light, like something from like a Bugs Bunny cartoon or whatever, where we go through this tunnel. And I remember one part of the tunnel to the left was red lights and cackling and that sort of thing, like a place you didn't want to go. And then to the right was nothing. No light, no nothing, but it wasn't the red lights and the cackling. So I remember the train kind of going to the right, like it was trying to, like it was avoiding that place that the whole world could have went but didn't. So we go to just the emptiness to the right, and next thing you know, boom, now we're all at a hotel. I remember the hotel, beautiful upscale hotel. It had burgundy carpet, it had gold designs on the floor, it had gold rails coming around the stairwells. It had this big, tall, open, ceiling that was real, real high up in the lobby. And what stood out while we were at the hotel, now my brother comes back. I don't know where my sister and my boyfriend went, but now my brother comes back. And I remember seeing my cousin Jermaine and Mike Owens, this guy I know from Amelia, and they were shooting dice in the hallway. And I remember me and my brother was kind of like, you know, these are our peoples, but we was like, this kind of don't seem like a time you want to be doing something like that. Like this is something serious right now. And it just kind of came across like certain people there weren't taking the situation seriously. So we was like, okay, whatever, to each his own. We cool with everybody, don't judge. So I just remember there was a part of the dream where I went into the library at a hotel and I started flipping through books, and I was just like, dag, it's not enough time. I didn't get to write my book. I didn't get to, get published. And my brother was like, it's all right, da da da. Like, it's not that deep, whatever, whatever. But I kind of felt a little disappointed that I wasn't given enough time to accomplish things that I had wanted to accomplish. I remember feeling like that. Then the next thing you know, trumpet sounded or just something happened to where everybody knew, let's all form a circle. So everybody's in the lobby. Imagine thousands, millions. Like, this is how big that hotel was. And we're all holding hands in a circle. And I remember looking around the circle and seeing people that I hadn't seen in years, like people from New Jersey, people from Amelia. I mean, well, I'm 17 at the time when I'm having this dream, so of course I'm seeing people from Amelia. But then I started seeing people from, New Jersey that I hadn't seen since I was like really, really small. And I was just like, wow, this really is everybody going through this at the same time. And it was trippy. So the next thing you know, the ceiling to the hotel opens up and just disappears. And in the distance, you see a castle, or what seemed like a castle, but it really could have been a city, but it was kind of taller in the middle, which made it look like a castle. Mind you, I'm a kid having this dream. And I remember seeing a rainbow and lightning and just, but it was a place you wanted to be, let's put it that way. So as the ceiling opens and we see this in the distance, I remember just rising up. And whoever's hands I was holding, which I think my brother might have been on one side, I don't know who's on the other side, but as we're rising up, we kind of let hands go because not everybody's rising up. But I just remember I'm rising up, going through the ceiling, and then I wake up. So I woke up very emotional, crying, and it's weird because why would a dream about an amusement park and a train and a hotel make you cry? And why would those three things make you feel like it was the end of the world? So that everything about that dream was just like, this isn't what a movie would show, the end of the world. Like what does all of this stuff mean? It was just strange. But I remember crying and going into the bathroom and just telling God, like, what was that about? Why did it feel so real? Like, what are you trying to tell me? And I just remember saying, whatever you're trying to tell me, if I'm going to be alive when you return or when people get raptured up, I want to hug everybody as they go into heaven. I remember saying that as a 17-year-old and saying, if you're trying to tell me that I'm going to be alive and that the end times are going to happen while I'm still alive, whatever age I'm going to be, and I'm going to be raptured up, hopefully, I want to do that. Just embrace everybody as they go through the door. Fast forward, that happened in 1998. Fast forward, so that means I was 16. Okay, so fast forward, and it's the year 2000. And a friend of mine who, I think at the time he was an agnostic, he didn't really believe in God. So it was me, one of my friends, and then him. We went to school together, and we were all out eating. And he was like, or she was like, yo, he had a dream about the end of the world. You should tell Nay about it. So he tells me about it. He was like, well, yeah, it was multiple dreams all in one night. He said, but it was one part of the dream that was just super weird that really didn't have nothing to do with nothing. He said, but I'm going to just tell you about it anyway, even though it was like, just seemed like it didn't make sense. And I was like, okay, what? And he goes, well, it involved an amusement park and a hotel. And so I'm just like, what? He's like, yeah, it involved an amusement park and a hotel. And he kind of sees the look on my face and my mouth is kind of dropping. And he's just like, what's good with you? Well, he didn't say what's good with you, but it's me putting in my own words. And he was just like, what's up? And I'm just like, yo, I've had a dream about the end of the world that involved an amusement park and a hotel. And I could tell he was just kind of like, what? Like, that's not making sense. But as we started to go back and forth and describe the scene, and I'm just like, was it the fall? Like, you felt like it was the fall based on like how the weather felt, what you had on, and the fact that school hadn't started, but it was supposed to have started, or whatever. Like, it made you feel like it was September. And he was like, yeah. And so he's like, yo, did your the train thing? He was like, that's called a monorail. And at the time, I couldn't think of that word because, I'm a kid, I'm 16 or whatever. He was like, yeah, no, that's not a train. That, they consider that technically it's called a monorail. And I'm just like, oh. So he starts to describe the hotel, the burgundy carpet, the gold designs, the gold rails going around. I mean, he described this hotel to a T that it would have freaked anybody out who had had the dream. And then to hear somebody else describe the dream in the same way. Like, what do you make of that? Like, I've just never, people have the same dreams, like, oh, I dreamed I woke up naked walking through school. People have the same kind of dreams, but if somebody were to say, oh, and there was a white feather that rolled down into a bucket, and what I'm saying, it was just too many details that freaked us out, down to him describing the way the patterns look on the carpet. Like he was there. Yeah, you just had to have dreamed it and had to experience this to understand that there was something with this dream that we couldn't quite figure out. But anyways, so as he's telling me the dream, he was like, well, yo, when we got to the hotel, he was like, I went outside and started smoking a cigarette, and I was out there with these two dudes in their collared sweatshirts, and I don't think he remembered who they were or knew who they were, but he just was like, I was out there smoking. I'm just like, wow, I never even thought about a parking lot, you know what I'm saying, in the dream. He's like, yeah, it was a parking lot. He described the parking lot, and I was like, well, yo, I went to a library. And he was like, oh, it was a library. So it was the trippiest thing. It's almost as if we were talking about a real place, but this is a dream. But he was talking about it from his perspective and me from mine. So at the end of his dream, he said, yeah, we did all gather in the lobby. He said we did see the ceiling open up. He said he did see the castle and the rainbow and whatever in the distance. He said, but Shanae, I didn't rise up. He said, you mentioned rising up going through the ceiling. He said, I didn't do all of that. Like he said, I stayed put and just woke up. And at the time, we're kids. I'm 18 at this time. We're in seniors in high school. And I'm just like, what does that mean? So I just remember saying, well, why are we having this like real kind of weird emotional kind of experience? I was like, I just want to tell you something, that the first day I met you, God spoke to me about you and said that kid is going to do something big for me. And of course, I didn't tell him that, because how do you walk up to somebody and go, yeah, so I just met you. God says you're going to do, you can't do that. So, but after talking about the dream, I went ahead and just said that. And he was just like, really? And he wasn't skeptical at all. He wasn't like, what do you mean God said? He didn't make me feel crazy or nothing like that. He was very open-minded. And he just was like, well, do what? Because I'm not sure I even really believe in all of that stuff. And I was like, I don't know. Fast forward, now he is a Christian. Now he does believe in God, which I think is pretty dope. But what led me to go ahead and make this video, a lot of people are on Facebook right now making fun of Christians, making fun of end times, making fun of people posting Bible scriptures. I mean, I have so many Facebook friends. I've never seen anything like this, like just the constant attacks. And I don't see it on any other religion. I don't see anybody talking about Satanists or, oh, you worship Buddha, you stupid. Like, you don't see none of that. So it was just starting to be like, what's that about? Like, why so negative? Why so hateful? Like, if you don't believe something, just okay. Just like I don't believe whatever you believe. I don't feel like I'm on there attacking people. I tell people about my experiences and my beliefs, and I leave it alone. I don't try to make you feel bad. And if I am, I'm apologizing right now in this video, because that's never my intent. So tonight, what really struck me is my brother came to visit. And he was like, yo, now I went to Amelia, and I ran into Mike Owens, and he was, shooting dice at this gambling spot. And it was just something about that just was like, And I was like, yo, you remember the dream I had when I was a kid about the end of the world? And in one part of the dream, me and you was in the hotel, and we looked down the hallway and we saw Mike Owens and our cousin shooting dice. And I remember feeling like, oh, this probably isn't a good time for that. He was like, oh, okay. He didn't really remember the dream like that per se, but I just kind of reminded him, like, that's kind of strange. And so then it made me think, I wonder if somebody heard my dream and could like break it down like some people do. I remember the time period or the year where there were clowns that were trying to lure people into the woods. And I remember when that was going on, I forgot what year, it made me think of my dream. So I've had multiple situations make me think of my dream. And tonight was just one of them, hearing my brother talk about that. I don't know what any of that means, but I don't think the world is going to end tonight or tomorrow or next month. But I just feel like now's the time for me to share this stuff, because when I was a kid and I had the dream, God said, tell as many people about this dream as possible. And I did. I told my mom. I think I told, who knows, maybe my sister and my brother, maybe 5 people tops. And I just left it alone. So to this day, I've always kind of felt like I was told to tell this dream, so I'm doing it now. So I may make another video about my whole Barack Obama experience, but I just thought everybody should his dream. All right.